Okay, welcome everybody. My name is Sarah Holger. I'm the founder of Project Get Outdoors. So yeah, we're a small little nonprofit. Most of you probably never heard of us. We've been around since 2005, and we'll kind of delve into a little history of Project Go a little bit later on here. I worked at the Bell Museum while I was going to school here. I was a Minocqua intern for the Department of Natural Resources. It's where you teach. And so for me, it's really my passion to make sure we have opportunities for all kids to get outside. And it doesn't have to be a trip to a state park, just in their own neighborhoods. And you're gonna see today, a lot of kids don't even get outside in their own neighborhood. So hopefully you guys can help kind of turn those trends around. So that was a lot of me doing an introduction. We are gonna do some icebreakers in a little bit here where we can get to know each other. And I know you guys probably already know each other, but we're gonna practice some icebreakers that you can use with kids out at your sites. So I kind of covered this, but today we really encourage you to actively participate. If you're typically a shy person, please don't be shy. Throw out questions, do your best to stay engaged. If you need a break too, holler, and we can stop at any time to take a break. Use the bathrooms, grab a banana, whatever. Hopefully you're gonna gain some knowledge and skills that are gonna really help you feel confident that you can take kids outdoors. And this isn't like what I did at Eagle Bluff or what I do at Whitewater. This is just neighborhood-based, really simple activities, ideas we're gonna give you today. You don't have to have a background in nature to do this. And then like I said, at the very end, we really want your feedback and ideas on how we can make this training better. And hopefully you go on to spread the word about what you learned today, not necessarily promoting the training, but how important it is to get kids outdoors. Okay, so you each received a handbook, and this is a nice resource. In there, there's a little zipper pouch that has a flash drive. So on that flash drive, that is loaded with a ton of other resources that you can explore on your own time. Each chapter in the handbook is copied onto the flash drive, as well as each PowerPoint is on there, and then a whole bunch of other resources. So if there's a specific topic, like we're gonna really skim over a couple of the topics today, like youth development, behavior management. We're gonna skim through that stuff, but if that's something that you haven't taken classes on and you wanna know a little bit more about, go to that flash drive and look at what's on there. Because what we did is, you could do a Google search on the internet and it's overwhelming what comes up. We narrowed it down to some of the really juicy, good stuff. So you don't have to spend time searching the internet and reading some of the junk that's out there. So it's a nice resource. Also, as we go through each kind of module here, we'll highlight some of the lessons learned. I worked, so when we started Project Get Outdoors, it was kind of an experiment. And I'll touch on that a little bit more, but I learned a lot out in the field. I was leading these programs, so for 11 years I was leading these after-school programs, and I learned a lot by trial and error, because I didn't necessarily have training in youth development. So you're gonna learn some of the mistakes I learned, and luckily nobody's ever been hurt or anything, but there's times where I could have lost a kid or somebody could have fallen off a cliff. So we'll touch on some of the lessons learned. And then, we'll be referencing that handbook throughout the training. So there are worksheets that go along with each chapter. And the intent originally when this was being developed is that we would have you do brainstorming throughout the training, but we've never used any of those worksheets. So the idea is if you get really excited about some of these things, you can go back on those worksheets and start doing some brainstorming. And you can take this with you. You guys are each gonna get to keep your handbook and your backpack. It's yours. It's yours to keep. So if you end up not working for the Y in a year and you end up somewhere else, you can take it with you and use it wherever you end up. Don't be afraid to use that book. That's yours. And I can leave, an extra copy and an extra backpack for the site to keep. But I think it's important that when you go through the training, this is yours, because not everybody else here took the training. Just the people here today really are getting the experience on how to use this to the best of what's in there. So it goes with you. I'm also going to reference some online resources that you can follow up on later. There's just so much stuff out there. So there is a syllabus. If you turn into the front of your book, chapter 1, right away you'll see a syllabus in there. We're not necessarily going to stick to every single thing in there, but that kind of gives you the content, the topics that we're going to be hitting today. Ideally, would have gotten this email 2 weeks ago and had 2 weeks to watch. There's like 6 or 7 videos we ask you to watch before you come today. So I will be referencing some of those videos. They're great videos. Actually, the videos alone, I mean, people could watch those and they get a good chunk of what we're going to get in the training today. It's just here we're going to do some hands-on. It takes about an hour to watch all of them, 6 or 7 videos. I can't remember how many are on there, but they're pretty inspiring. There's a couple of them that made me cry, and that's not the intent. It's just they're very moving. You get to hear from people from different communities in those different videos. So I'll pass that out. I encourage you to watch them. We're going to start out with some icebreakers because I did a big long introduction here for myself. I want to get to know you guys, and we'll try to do some icebreakers that you can roll in kind of outdoor themes to. And you guys know icebreakers, there's millions of them, so you can't really go wrong. But here's just some example ideas of icebreakers we're going to do now. And you could start using today or tomorrow if you wanted to. So I think we're going to stay inside. Ideally, we'd go out to an open area to do this. We're going to stay inside for ease of filming, and we'll go outside later on to do a couple other activities. I think we're going to use this open space over here. So, oh, actually, you know what? We can start here. We can start here, because the first one we're going to do is we're okay. Do you guys know what a barred owl sounds like?
At one point I did. Yeah.
Right, you think all owls say who. The barred owl sounds like he's saying, who cooks for you? Who cooks for you all? So he sounds like this. So, thank you. Throughout the day, when you hear that call, that will be to kind of bring us back together. And kind of what I'd like you to do when you hear that call, you hear the owl call, I want you to say, Project Get Outdoors. Okay? And whoever says it first gets a treat. So does anybody want to volunteer to start to introduce your neighbor? And then you guys want to go first?
Do you stand up or just stay here?
Whatever you feel comfortable doing.
All right.
One is training and recruiting along with
The earliest childhood memory outside would be sledding.
Memory is for 7th birthday parties, Dad set up a really cool obstacle course for him outside.
So this one's a name game. So what we're going to do is first you'll say your name. Once you get the ball, you'll say your name. Then you're going to throw it to somebody else, and you have to say their name before you toss it to them. That's just so you don't hit them in the face, because that happens sometimes. But also, I want you to say your favorite animal. So think about that for a second. Okay. So I'm going to say Sarah. My favorite animal, pigs. I don't know why, but I've always liked pigs. The little ones. The big ones are kind of creepy, but. So Sarah, I like pigs, and Caitlin, I'm going to throw it to you. Now the thing is, you can only get it once, so we got to make sure everybody gets it one time. Now you're going to say your name.
Caitlin.
An animal.
My favorite animal is moose.
Ooh, from Alaska. That makes sense. Wow.
Jiva.
All right, Jiva, my favorite animal of the moment.
So this ball, and the nice thing too, in the backpack, there's a book that goes with it with all these different ways to use the stuff that's in there. So the ball, we're just going to do a few things with now. So let's can everybody take another step back? We try to make the circle a little bit bigger here. Okay, so this one, what we're going to do is you have somebody be in charge of calling out. What we'll do here is just some random things that have to do with the outdoors. When I first led this activity at that first training, I was saying, like, if you've ever been to a state park, if you've ever done this, and that's where they were like, some kids might not ever be able to move forward, and then they're going to feel left out. So the goal is to get to that ball. So as I call things out, if you've done it, you get to take a step forward. Now it's just a baby step forward. So it's like one little step. Yeah, and some of you have bigger feet, so. So we're going to try to keep this as, I guess, as neutral as possible as I call things out. Okay, so let's see. If you have ever ridden on a bike before, take a step forward. Okay. If you have a park in your neighborhood that you walk to, take a step forward. If you've ever been swimming in a lake before, take a step forward. If you have a dog, that's kind of naturey, right? If you don't like dogs, take a step forward. See, you can kind of help people out a little bit too. And if kids are being really naughty, you can kind of figure out ways to make them have to go backwards. Like if somebody cheated, I could say, like, if you're wearing a blue shirt, take 2 steps back. So I can figure out ways to get them to balance out, okay? If you've ever been sledding in the snow, take a step forward. If you have a bird feeder in your yard, take a step forward. You're pretty close there, Jen. We're gonna say Jen's the winner. And that's kind of tricky because now I'm trying to be more purposeful in the things I say, so it's a little more like people might have had those opportunities, but it made me think more. That was somebody from St. Paul Parks and Rec that wrote that comment, like, ooh, that could really disclude some kids. So you gotta kind of be purposeful in some of these things too. So that's 3 simple icebreakers. I mean, we could spend a whole day just doing icebreakers. And in the handbook and the resource part of that, there's some other links to places where you can get more ideas for icebreakers. Tons of fun stuff you can do. So we're gonna actually sit back down. So just to wrap up that first kind of chapter, some of those lessons learned, we kind of already covered this, but yeah, sometimes kids can be shy as well, and maybe they don't want to have to talk in front of the group. So trying to work in other opportunities, other ways they can participate without putting them as the center of attention, because that can be really traumatic for some kids. So thinking about different activities you can incorporate that have different types of experiences, large groups, small groups, individual activities. Oftentimes, in addition to my backpack, I would throw in some extra activities. I had these really cool puzzles that kids could do, arts and craft things. So when we had even spare time, they could be doing that if they didn't want to play the big game that everybody else was doing. So keeping those kinds of things in mind. So I mentioned in the backpack, there's an outdoor activities planning guide. It's got a lot of different ideas on ways to plan outdoor programs, but it specifically shows what's in the backpack and ways you can use the rope, the ball, the blindfolds, the balloons, all these different ways you can use them. If you're creative, you don't need that book, but sometimes people need a little spark, yeah. So that's in the backpack, and then some other, this stuff, the PowerPoint is on the flash drive, so I don't need to read through everything, but a lot of resources through Scouts, 4-H, there's a lot of really cool ideas out there for icebreakers, group challenge activities. Anybody here was in scouting at all? I know Holly was a Girl Scout. Yeah, so just some of the funny skits and things they do that just kind of break the ice. There's so many resources out there. YouTube has a lot of stuff on there too. So that's all on your flash drive.